So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Today we are going to be talking about CSS animations. I do believe this is going to be the last CSS live stream. I kind of held this one off to the end because CSS animations is sort of a more advanced topic. I'm not going to go through, like always, I'm going to go through the basics of it. I try not to make, there's reasons I try not to make my streams too complicated. Number one, it takes, the more complicated it is, the longer it takes to put together an example. And, I've got a full-time client, part-time client, and then I got to come up with an example for a live stream and prepare for the live stream. So it, unfortunately my time is limited. I'd like to have more time to do examples for the live stream, but right now it is what it is. Plus, I feel that if I give you everything, you have no reason to go look for it yourself. So that's kind of the idea. The idea is to teach and to help people learn. And one of the things of helping is teach the basics and then let other people, let them go out and find out for themselves. And I always say, and I welcome questions. And I do get some from time to time. I have people who do direct message me and ask me things. And I do enjoy that. I enjoy that. And I do my best to answer whenever I can. Anyways, I really don't think there's too much we can talk about. I mean, CSS Animations is something that's been out for a little while now. I remember back at the last client I worked for, we were doing Angular, and Angular had Angular Animations, which was basically a wraparound CSS Animations. So the concept has been out there for a while. There are some more advanced topics. I do suppose, I was almost thinking it's possible that we could go through 2 animations, but I really do want to get into programming languages, and the next language would be JavaScript. So probably not. Maybe it'd be something that if people wanted, they could actually just go ahead and ask, and I can give a little bit more depth to CSS animations. But we have 2 examples today to get through, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and share the first example. So that should be it. Yes. All right, and there we are. It is plain. It is plain continuously. I start, as always, with the HTML. This is the HTML today. Is really quite simple. There it is, animated button. That's pretty much it from the CSS or from the HTML side. So quickly jump over to the CSS. Let's see here. Got a new mouse, so if things don't scroll like they normally do, that's because I'm not 100% used to it yet. Anyways, we have 2 different animations. Animations use the keyframes concept. We will see this also. My second example is going to be in React and Tailwind. That was a request from a viewer. Whenever viewers make requests, I do try to accommodate. That's sort of the point of doing this. So once again, I always ask, if you have a suggestion, please let me know. So the keyframes concept is what makes animation possible. It also makes it something that will actually, you can actually give it different styles at different points in time. Here we use percentages. The percentages is the percentage of time given to the animation. So it's not in time, it's in percentage of time. So 0, of course, being the beginning, the start, where it starts at. So starting when it starts, this is how the animated button looks. Actually, here let's do this. If we do, let me see if I can do this, and maybe this will help in showing the different parts of. Of course, it did that. What I really want to do. That's fine. We'll just do this. So here we will do. Just give me a moment. I'd rather have this. Let's see here. Animated. I told you if I was typing, I might take a minute. Animated button, 3 seconds. Ease in and out. And let's just continue the infinite and save. So this will be a little bit easier to start with one part and then add another. I think that's better than showing the whole thing. So If just the animated button is run, then we have, this is what we have. So basically we start with the basic of the border. We start with the border radius at 4 pixels. If we look down here, the test button, this is the settings that comes as part of the default settings for that particular piece of markup, in this case being a div. And as you can see, we even put cursor on it so it looks like you can click it. If you wanted to do some kind of an animated button, this may be the way to do it. You could probably get away with this with an actual button, but let's be honest, you can pretty much detect click on anything in HTML these days. So if it's easier to do it a different way, just go ahead and do it that way. You could. I've done this before with other buttons, to where basically that's all they are. Is they're a button in the name sense of it, but they actually aren't an actual input button type button. So the naming is just part of it anyway. So basically here we're telling each part that we're going to do. So we're going to start with the background light blue. The color of the text is going to be set to black. The width and height are going to be set at 100 pixels by 50 pixels. Didn't really concern myself with rims and all that, just trying to do something to showcase this. There's a reason here that I originally had just 0 to 100%, and I was going to just let the concept take over. Keyframes is a concept in animation. I'm not sure if any of you have ever done any other kind of animation work before, but if you've ever done like 3D modeling, which is what I'm getting into now, and I'm getting into now, but I've actually done 3D modeling before. It used to be the thing that I did on the side. I always loved doing it, which is why I'm really glad I get to do 3D interactive type stuff. But the concept of keyframes is, what you do is you take a model and you take it from point A to point B, and you tell it the transition from this point to this point should take this long, and the computer then the computer does its job to figure out what to do, how, what part of what to actually make it look animated and to do exactly what it's supposed to do. And that's basically what's happening here. Initially, this 50% was not there, but I noticed, since I only had 0 and 100%, the color here of the text was white. Well, that was all well and good. Actually, here, let's show why I put the 50% in there. Let's just do that. This is live coding. Why not? So let's do that. If we do that, you'll notice that the white didn't really come till the end. If you notice, you kind of lose it almost there. You lose the text there in the transition, and it kind of looks a little wonky because it's dark as the background starts to get dark. So that's why I added in the 50%. I wanted the animated button text to stay there the entire time, to where you could still see it. And as you can see, it changes a lot sooner now, and you don't really lose it. You don't lose it hardly at all. You lose it less, and so it looks a little bit more animated. So basically, we're starting at a width of 100 and height of 50 pixels, and we're ending at a round circle with a width and height of the same size, 200 by 200. We did the border radius at 100% to basically take it from square to round, and then padding, to put some padding in there, because the animated button text was almost hanging right up towards the top, so gave it a little bit more padding in there to kind of just actually keep the animated button text in a place that looked reasonable. What I did want to do, and I didn't have time to do, is actually, instead of doing the padding here, what I wanted to do is I wanted to center the text in here and keep it centered as it went. Did not have the time to do that, unfortunately, so that didn't happen. This code, I will post the link after this. It's publicly available. If someone wants to figure out how to do that, that'd be a really good trial run for those who want to play with stuff. I don't know how many actually play with the code after I'm done with it, but by all means, you can always fork it into your own repository here. Once again, this is codesandbox.io. I will have the link posted afterwards, and you can play with it all you want. And so that's what happens now. How does this animation work? Well, this animation works because we put the name of the animation. So the name up here, animated button, is there. So you put the name of the animation. If I'm right, you can look up the actual animation property, and it'll tell you all the individual steps. Now, each one of these steps here has an individual property that it corresponds to, but the animation property like for example, this is called animation dash name. So the animation property can be used to string the whole thing together and do it in one instead of sitting there and having 8 different properties spelled out. So the name, animated button, the duration of the animation, meaning how long it takes to transition through the entire animation. So the entire animation takes 3 seconds. If you sit there and you counted it as you're watching, it does take about 3 seconds. Ease in and out. These are the way that basically it's the I forget the actual name of the property. I'd have to look at it, but basically it tells you how the animation is played. Does the animation go the same speed all the way through? Ease in and out is it starts faster when it comes in, and then it goes a little bit faster as it goes out. So it kind of comes in fast and then a little bit slower, and then it leaves faster. So that's ease in and out. There are about 4 or 5 different ways. One of them that I've used a lot, and you'll actually see it in my component example here in a little bit, is a Bezier curve. And with a Bezier curve, you can actually tell it. It's used so much because it lets you be in a little bit more control. Excuse me, in a little bit more control of where the different parts speed up and slow down and all that kind of stuff. So where the curve is and all that, where things are. You'd have to look up that one. I've used some default settings on the ones I've done just to make them look the way I'm wanting to make them look. I've never actually delved into Bezier curve and figured out what the different numbers mean, how you can play with it. But it does give you that capability to sort of manipulate the animation a little bit more. And then infinite. This is the number of times it played. Basically, if I didn't want to sit here and play, I think this is a number. So I think if we did this, it would happen twice. Let's see. There we go. So it played twice, and then it went back to its default settings. This is the default setting before the animation happened. So that's what you're seeing here now. You're seeing the default setting of this before the animation was applied. Of course, that's not how you would want it to be. You would not want that to happen. But, maybe you would. Maybe you would want it to look a certain way, and when you click it, it does something. I've been seeing this more on websites recently. There's a website that I order food from here that when you click the order button, it kind of cocks to the side and does that. CSS Animations is how that is being done. So we'll put it back to infinite so you can kind of see it continue to animate and annoy. So that was part of that. But I said this isn't enough. This is pretty simple. So what we really need to do is we need to add some movement in there. So we've got the button going from mostly square into a round button. So let's go ahead and really annoy, and let's add them both in. So I decided, here, I just want to check, make sure I haven't missed anything. I did miss some things. Keyframes, all right, good. No direct questions, but everyone's seen. Actually, I'm sorry, guys. I did not do that. I should have done that. Anyways, yeah. Hey to everyone who said hello. All right, we're going to continue on. Yes, I'm hoping that my chat there being open did not cut off too much what was going on. So I said, well, why not? Why not go ahead and go full on? Let's not just modify the actual button itself, but let's actually move it as well. So I decided to throw in the move. Before we talk about it, we will talk about what the move is doing. The move here is really quite simple. It's basically doing a transform on the object and translating, basically taking it from its position and moving it to another position. And so what you'll see is it slide over, slide back, and then rebound back to the beginning. That's why the 0 and then 100. So basically 0, 100 having the same value says it ends where it starts. So it starts at 0, 0, it ends at 0, 0. So the entire animation ends where it starts. That's basically what we're doing here. And so this thing is telling it to go this way, come back upward, and then come back to 0, 0, come back to the very beginning again. So that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're doing here. And that's why when we uncomment this and do that, you'll see this thing start to slide side to side like that. So now it animates and it slides side to side. Now, With each one of these, once again, you have the name of the actual animation, animated button, move. So the animations stay the same. We put a comma in here just to apply both animations at the same time. And in this case, we also applied the same duration. Now, you'll see why I did that, because initially I thought, I don't want to do that. I want to be different. I want to put 2 different timings on my animations. Now let's watch what happens with this. It really looks funky. Oh man, does it ever look funky? So I was like, okay, okay. I think that's not for the best. Let's not do that. So like I said, this is what we all do though. We all play with things and figure things out, and that's where we end up, how we end up staying where we want to stay or doing the things we want to do. It just seems right. The transition is happening at the same time that the move animation is finishing. And so it looks like it's meant to happen that way. Sometimes having different timings on your animations can look really well, can work right. If you're not growing and changing the size, if this thing wasn't growing and changing the size, but maybe just changing the colors or something else, it might not look so bad. It moving the colors in and out and moving side to side. But with it growing and then it just, yeah, it didn't quite look right. It really looked kind of strange. So that's why I kept the same move animation timings and all that. Like I said, you can play with this. This can be 3 seconds. We had 5 in there. We can make it both 5. We can make it just about anything we wish, which is nice. Once we have our animations defined, we can actually change the timings. And as you can see now, it's going through the same thing. It's just doing it a little slower. So maybe it's not so. Maybe this actually looks a little bit better. The 3-second was really giving me a headache. This actually kind of is soothing almost. I can almost feel going all over me here. I feel better. I feel better. Yes, that is actually a much nicer animation. So, like I said, I'll post the link to this so that you guys can take a look. But yeah, basically that's the idea. Keyframes, like I said, are meant to set up what to happen at what part in the animation, hence the percentages, telling you at what percentage of time does each keyframe take up. What do we want to do? And you can get down to the nitty gritty. You'll see what I did in the checkbox here in a minute. I did something very similar in Tailwind, and we will probably move on to that. I think this is the very basics. Animation property, animation definitions,